This is the second video of the channel where I'm going to introduce you to HTML. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is at the end of the day a text file that we're going to edit and manipulate to give a structure and layout to our website, and helps us decide where and what type of content we want to display. So I'm going to do this graphically first to show you. I'm going to create a new folder in my desktop called HTML-tutorial. And once I go into this folder, I can see that it's currently blank. Now, text files, we don't interact with on a daily basis. We use files like a PDF or a Word document or a PowerPoint, and these files need a specific application to open them. Now, text files that end in .txt or .rtf just need a simple text editor, which is mostly installed by default on most operating systems. So on Mac we have TextEdit, on Windows we have Notepad. So I'm going to open a file. You can type whatever you want inside this, and when you save the file, I'm just going to save it inside this and call it hello. When I save it, you see it appears over here, and this is a text file. We can add whatever we want inside it. Now HTML files are also like this, but they don't end in RTF, they end in .html, so that when the browser reads them, it understands that this is actually a HTML file. So I'm going to move this to the trash and start off fresh. So this is how you create files from the graphical user interface. Now for the command line interface, I'm going to use the terminal. So I'm going to right click here and say new terminal at folder. For Windows users, you can right click and say git bash here. So this opens our terminal. Now to create files, you use a touch command and say what file you want to create. So I'm going to create a file called hello.html. So this creates our file. And now to open the file, instead of using text edit, I'm going to use a command line editor called nano. So I say nano space the file name. And once you hit editor, this opens our editor, but in the command line. So this is command line editor. We can only use the keyboard. We can't use our mouse to change the cursor position or anything like that. And one thing to be cautious of is the default keyboard shortcuts for copy paste, such as Ctrl C and Ctrl V, don't work here. There are few commands which do work, and they are mentioned at the bottom of the screen. So the first thing that we're going to do is declare that we are using the latest version of HTML, which is HTML5. So we do this by adding this type of syntax at the top saying doc type HTML. And the second thing that we need to know is everything HTML is an element. So elements have a closing tag and an opening tag. So to say that we are actually using HTML file and it has to be read and interpreted as it is, we need to add a HTML tag. So the opening and closing tags have the syntax as shown on the screen. The closing tag has this / at the beginning of the name of the element. So now that we are inside this HTML element, everything has to go into this. We can't have any element outside this. So the first element that I'm going to show you in HTML is the P element. So this stands for paragraph. So you again close it, and then you open it and then you close it, and then all your content goes inside this. So I'm going to say hello. So this is just the text that we want to display to the screen. So this is pretty much blank, but our HTML file is created. Now to save this, we can see on the bottom of the screen we have a shortcut for write out. So that is Ctrl O. So when I say Ctrl O, it asks us if the file name to write is hello.html. It is, so I'm just going to hit enter, and our file is saved. So now to exit it, I'm going to hit Ctrl X. So now we're done, and now we're going to open up our file. So we see our file hello.html. I'm going to right click on this and say open with Google Chrome. So this should open in Google Chrome, and we can see our file does work, and we can see the text is printed hello over here. So it's pretty much empty, but we actually have written successful HTML, and we can see our web page over here. And the rest is pretty much simple. So I'm going to open up the editor one more time. And so once you understand the basic syntax, it's pretty much the same. So similarly, we have elements for anything else. We have elements for images, we have elements for tables, we have elements for anything that you can think of. So I'm going to quickly show you how to create an image. So I'm going to go over to google.com and copy the Google logo. So I'm going to right click and say copy image address, and then I'm going to go back to my nano editor, and for images we have the image element, img. So we open it with img, and images don't have to be closed, so they're one of the exceptions. So you can just add this forward slash at the end. Now the thing that you need to understand is some elements have text that goes in the middle, but there's much more content that we have to add to make it more descriptive or to make it more complex. So every element has certain attributes that we can add to it. So attributes are added inside the opening tag. Now we add the attribute's name. So in this case, it's a source attribute which starts with src. Then we add an equal to sign and then double quotes. So our content goes inside the double quotes, and here we have to add the URL to our source where the image is located. So we do command V and we paste in our image location, and now we're pretty much ready. So just to recap one more time, attributes can be added to elements. They are added after they are added inside the opening tag after the element's name. You give the attribute name, you give an equal to sign, and then the value of the attribute goes inside the double quotations. So now that we're done, I say Ctrl X to save again and hit enter, or Y and then enter again. So our file is saved. Now all we have to do is go back to our browser and reload it. So we can see the image is formed. So this is pretty much how it is, and there are so many elements and so many attributes that we can learn. I'm going to quickly go over to a really helpful resource called W3 Schools. This provides a reference. They do have tutorials. They might be a little difficult to understand, but most importantly, it provides you a reference. So you can see a list of HTML elements. You can see the default syntax. You can see what type of elements we have. You can see how to add paragraphs. You can see how to type headings using the h tags, the h1, h2, h3 elements. You could see how to add styling. So our basic website is created. It might be pretty empty right now, but this is enough to get you started. And with this helpful resource and reference, you will be able to quickly find out what other elements are possible to be placed in our HTML file and what type of attributes we can give them to customize it and to make them actually worth using. So I will have videos in the future to explain how to style your web page to make it more pleasing and to make it more likable. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're updated when future videos reach you. So this wraps up the end of the video. Thank you for watching.